Hello everyone. My name is Asif Shah, and I'm currently working here at Fermilab as a software developer. But my background and my work is related to the networking R&D because I'm mostly a networking R&D professional. So today, I'm going to, share a Nautobot app that I developed for my, organization here at Fermilab. And I wanted to show you the proof of concept of zero touch provisioning app, which I developed for Nautobot head at Fermi Lab. So uh, I think you all are familiar with the zero touch provisioning app, how it is working, just giving you an overview that how zero touch provisioning, the application is working in networking. Whenever we are going to add a new device in our data centers and networking device, I mean to say, so then we want to, configure that device automatically without manually configuring that device. So that's basically the concept of zero touch provisioning, right? And how we can achieve that, we have, some sort of servers that can, fulfill that requirement. One is the DHCP server, other is a scripting server, and other is basically the config or software server. DHCP server is basically assigning, the IP addresses and also providing some information about the scripting and, the config servers that from where a router can download the scripts and initial configurations or images, whatever you want, right? So then it configure automatically without manual configuration or manual intervention of the devices, right? So that's basically the concept of zero touch provisioning. So considering that, I build an application which is, you know, providing this ZTP functionality inside the Nautobot. So inside the Nautobot, I built an application, for Fermilab. That was basically the requirement of the Fermilab. Here you can see this is the application which I built, where I have, some sort of jobs and, couple of database models I created and REST API endpoints and views URLs. So all those things is inside my application. So uh, for that, I would like to demonstrate this application, that how it is working and how I set up this environment as well, and how I can automate these things from the Nautobot instead of, configuring all these things manually or configuring the devices manually. So we can configure using the ZTP application inside the Nautobot. I'm running, this EVNG simulator, emulator, you can say, where I'm running a Linux server, which is representing as a DHCP, as well as, the HTTP and TFTP server, means a scripting server and config server, which you can see here. So I combine all these functionality inside a single server in my environment, and I connected, you know, with switches, and I can connect new switches. I will connect the new switches in this lab, and first we configure those things here inside the app, and then I'll connect those switches here in the lab, and then those switches will get the DHCP IP, get the scripts and initial config, and automatically configure itself without touching the device manually from the command prompt or from the console, right? So let's start, first to demonstrate, and then we will see that how it is working. Let's first, what we need to, if we consider this diagram, we need to configure these servers. We need to add the information of these servers in our Nautobot. So first I will add the information of these server. You can see here in my application, I created, the model where I can, add the server information. So here we can add the information about our servers. In my case, we have a single server. Therefore, for all the DHCP, HTTP, and TFTP, I'm using this IP address, right? So I'm going to create this server, and it is successfully created. If you go again inside the server IP addresses, you can see my server is created. The next thing is that we have to create, the config files, right? The config files we need to create. For that, in my application, I created a job through which we can dynamically create the config file, and these config files will save on the server, right? Because these config file will be should be available on the servers from where your server can download, right? So I am going to configure those things by using the initial config generator job. So in the initial config generator job, I can create, three different type of configs for each router. So for EOS, I'm going to create a config file, and I'm going to select all these features in it should be available in my the config file. This is just for a demonstration purpose. Later on, I'll expand this application. So I'm going to give the switch EOS because we are creating EOS. So I'm just giving the name of prefix name of our host name as a switch EOS. Let me create EOS, right? And file name should be file underscore EOS, right? And the config server where this file is going to be saved should be this one, right? And whatever the changes you required, we can do the changes. Let's suppose I did uh, EOS local, and the management IP address should be 10.110, and the other things should be, I'm not going to change. It will create the VLANs, it will configure the VLANs on the interfaces, and I can configure the default route as well. And I can configure the username and passwords. And let's suppose this is the username and password, and I'm just keeping NTP as it is, right? So yeah, so this is the configuration. I did changes, and I just going to save this config file on my run this command, run this job, and it will save the configuration on your server. So if I go on to my server, you can see in this location, if I can show you the location where it is going to save the config file and config, right? So here you can see the config file is already saved, EOS one which we created. And if I show you the scripts for my this application, it is still not created yet because we didn't created the script yet. So I'm going to create the another script file right now by using same job initial config generator for the Nexus OS, because we will demonstrate the two switches here. And just I'm selecting the user and the initial config. So here I'm going to select the Nexus OS and Next OS, right? And file should be NX OS, right? And it will also save on the same server, right? So we are just giving the IP addresses, gateway, NX OS lab, NX OS local, and should be the management IP address should be the 30.30.111, and remains will be same, just we need to change the password as per the requirement, right? So right now in this config file, we are saving the users and the system config, not more other features, right? You can see system and user, local users, right? These two features we selected, and we are creating this file, and this should be the host name of your uh, initial config file. So just created the another one. Let's create it. Yeah. So if we go again and see the config files, you can see both config files are created and these are stored on the server, and these should be the management IP and these should be the host name. Now, what should we have to do? We have to create the script for the servers, but before that we have to add the servers in our lab, right? uh, Not the servers. Okay, so before that, now our config files are created and now we should have to create the script. For that, I also have another job that creates a script. So by using this, it creates a script and also add the entries for the the your devices into the DHCP config, right? So mm, what for what config file we want, let's suppose for EOS, we need to add the MAC address and the either MAC address or the serial number to create the DHCP entry into the DHCP server and generate the Python script that can be download on the server and run that script and execute this initial configuration automatically. So that's basically the concept. But before creating this script and the DHCP entry, we need to add the devices, right? Why? Because we have to add the device and we need the serial numbers at least, of the devices. So for that, I'm going to add the one Arista switch here and one Nexus switch here, right? So I'm going to just for a while stopping this and connecting the with the management port of the Arista EOS. And similarly, I'm going to add the another device for Nexus, right? And just add the device and Nexus switch, and I'm going to connect this with management port of the Nexus, right? So just to start these devices right now, because we need the serial number so we can get from the command prompt of these switches. Because if you add the new switch on the box, you will have the serial numbers, but right now we do not have. Therefore we need just to see the serial numbers from the command prompt. Therefore, we have to start these switches, right? And then we can create the Python script here. Okay, I'm going to see their consoles. Okay, we have these two switches running right now, but we will not add any manual configuration in these switches. We just get the serial numbers and put that information in our uh, creating script and adding DHCP host uh, uh, job, and then it will automatically, create the initial config, run the initial configuration that we created before in our application. Like here, we created for both for EOS and the Nexus switches. So we added two switches and connected these two switches. Now, technically, it should get the DHCP IP address from this server, and then it should download the Python script and also the initial configurations from this server, and then it should automatically configure itself, by using the initial config that we added in our Nautobot app. But before that, we required the serial numbers for these switches, right? So for serial numbers, we can see the serial numbers here. You can see switches are started, but it is in the mode of the, it's failing to get the DHCP. Okay. Switches are started, right? You can see this EOS switches is started, and it is failing to get the IP address right now because Right now we didn't add the entries here, uh, in our this job, creating the script. We didn't add any entry for the DHCP or created the script for these servers. So we required the serial number. So therefore, this is the serial number, right? So we can add the entry right now for this switch by using the creating Python scripts, and let's add for the EOS and just add a dummy, MAC address, because from both of them, we can use anyone for authentication, right? We are using serial number right now. So just run this script, and what it will do, it will add the entry in the DHCP, as well as it will create the Python script. Here you can see there is no any script right now, and there is no any entry in our DHCP and not about config, right? So once I will add this entry, it will automatically, you can see now it is added the entry, as well as it will show you the file that is created Python script. And also it will start, you can see after this it will start getting the IP address, and then it will also start the running the script and initial configuration. I think in this server you can see how it is going to automatically get the IP addresses and running the script. I think in a while it will start it. Yeah, now you can see it will start the uh, getting the IP address, and then it will run the Python script, download the Python script and run the Python script. Now it's attempting to get the IP address again. Yeah, you can see it got the IP address, and it is running the same script that we created in our, the Python, in our Nautobot app. You can see this one, EOS config, and it is running the EOS config Python that's created, right? S- So it is running the right now it is running, and it will, show you the uh, after restart, it will be configured whatever the initial configurations we provided, right? So it is going to restart. Now we also get the serial number for the Nexus switch and add the entry for the Nexus, right? DHCP and scripting entry by using our same job, getting the Nexus, and let's pass this, the serial number. It's the same serial number that we have here, right? And we added the serial number and just start running this. So once you started, it added the serial number, and when you can see it immediately got the IP address. Uh, it, after after adding this script, you can see Nautobot added the script, and your Nexus server will download the script by using the DHCP server. Here you can see it downloading the script and running the script inside the Cisco Nexus switch. So uh, it will run the script, and it will take some time. Okay, now you can see our switch, the host name that we provided is the same host name. It means our EOS switch is configured with the initial configuration that we provided, right? So just to verify, because the same username and password we are using right now, just to verify here, you can see we provided in our initial configuration and the 110 IP address. We provide the NTP servers, we provide the routes, and we provided the created the VLANs, right? You can see all those information is available in our initial configuration that we provided. So we successfully, uh, without touching the device, we can create, by using the Nautobot app that I created, we can configure the switches by using the ZTP. Okay, once your script is executed on the Nexus OS, it will not go again. It will restart the switch automatically, and it will not go again into the POAP mode, means power on auto provisioning mode. So it will, because it executed the initial configuration and saved that initial configuration here, you can see after the restart, we have the host name switch underscore NXOX1, which we provided in our, Nautobot app in the initial configuration. Here you can see we provided the sys host name for this configuration, right? And other information also. So now let's log in with the same password that we provided in our initial config and see that it should have, the management IP 1111, right? Because we added that IP address. Uh, Same, right? You can see without touching the devices, we configure the EOS switch and a Nexus switch by using our that Nautobot app that I developed, right? uh, in this app I also develop few more things. Let's suppose once we edit the device, I want to discover that device by using discover new discover and onboard device, similar like the device onboarding application. So I wanted to discover first, let's suppose this admin, and let's suppose this should be the password, right? And this, username and password we are giving here because just for, the testing purpose, we can use the secret secrets from the Autobot as well later on. So just adding this device, let's see if it's going to aid the device. Yeah, our device is successfully on board. Failure is 0. So similarly, I want to run this same command for my 111 switch, right? Admin, and this should be the password, right? And I want to add in my location, which I already created. So I'm going to add both of these devices, right, in my devices information. It's going to add the all both of these devices in my the devices. If we go into the device, let's see. Yeah, our both devices are added, right? The information, the IP address, and all those things are added. So this is the another app which I built in my application, and we can also sync the interfaces. I also built another job that basically sync the interfaces of all those devices. Let's suppose I want to sync the EOS device interfaces right now. So it will run, and if I can see the results here, even it added the interfaces, right? So all the interfaces are synced in on EOS. If you go into that EOS, and you will see all the interfaces are available here, right? And if I see the other device, it still doesn't have, the interfaces. And if I want to sync it again, this device as well, then I'll go into the job and sync the interface of the Nexus. And just for the testing purpose, I'm giving the username password, and it is working, right? You can see all the interfaces are coming, right? And successfully executed. It's running still, it's successfully executed, right? And if we go into the device and want to verify, you can go into the device and you can see all the interfaces will be there, right? And similarly, I also have some more jobs. One is basically related to the command runner. I want to run the command on my any switch, like EOS. Let's suppose I want to run any command. Let's suppose interface brief or version. Let's suppose I want to run the version command, and it is going to run the version command. Okay. Okay, so this is what my application is doing. I hope you have some idea that how we can, the aid the ZTP app in Nautobot. If you need any help, anything, right now this application I'm building, it's in development stage. I will build for all the platforms. Right now it's built for Cisco Nexus and EOS. I will add more platforms as well. So and then I will make it public for Nautobot for community users, right? And thank you very much, all.